Hello and welcome back to Devlog. In this episode we're doing pagination, sorting, filtering, and searching. So by the end of this episode we're going to be React, Next.js, table connoisseurs, absolute tech gurus, senior devs. And at the end of the episode we're going to mess around with local storage and get our privacy mode to persist on refresh. Currently we have server-side pagination, and the only thing I don't like about that is that whenever you switch pages, the entire app has to refresh. And in my opinion, that's a bit jarring and it might not be necessary. If you think about it, if you have monthly pay statements for 12 months in the year, that's only 120 entries to go through. If you do bi-weekly, that's only 240. If you do weekly, that's 480. If you do that for 10 more years, that's not even 5,000 entries. So how about we just do pagination, sorting, and filtering locally, and we cut out this little jarring effect. To implement this, we just grab all of the pay statement entries without any pagination or filtering, and then we handle all of that logic ourselves on the front end. And now the pagination controls component passes up page information straight into the table, and we can handle the logic there. Alright, so here's local pagination. It works the same with the added benefit of some speed, and it no longer has that jarring effect where it refreshes the entire page. Alright, very cool, and an added benefit is that we no longer need to have a separate database query to get the last pay statement for the user. Since now we have all of them, we can just pick out the last one. Alright, let's push these changes up and get started on our tickets. To implement sorting into our table, we're going to take some inspiration from the ShadCN UI because I like how their buttons look. Matter of fact, let's just dig into the HTML here and grab that SVG. Alright, we can paste it into our table header, and with some styling, it looks just perfect. Look at this hover animation, so clean. Since we need to do this for each column header, I created this column header component that returns the header along with the sort icon. And if we hit a refresh, we can see that all of the headers now have the sort icon. Very cool. Surprisingly, the sort logic is not that bad. Whenever the user clicks a column header, the sort field for that header gets set, and this use memo, using a switch case, sorts the pay statements. And then we use a starting index and a per page limit to slice the freshly sorted pay statements to give us our final paginated pay statements array. And here's the logic for setting the sort field and the sort order. If the sort field the user is clicking is already set, that means they want to switch the sort order from ascending to descending or descending to ascending, so we just make that toggle. And in the table header, depending on the sort field and the sort order, we set the sorting icon. And here's the final result. I think it looks fantastic and the sorting works perfectly. And of course, sorting works on all of the columns. However, type and deductions, nothing changes because they all have the exact same entry, regular and 0. And just for fun, here's what sorting looks like for a limit of 12 pay statements per page. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. Here's what it looks like in light mode as well. Pretty good. Alright, fantastic work, I say to myself. Let's push up these changes and our first ticket is done. We just sorted them. Now let's do some filtering on the pay statements. Now the filtering menu is actually in the HTML already, but it's hidden. So let's add some on-click stuff and make it open. Alright, very cool. Now what I had in mind initially for this filter was that the user can select a date range or some various attributes to filter on. And the ShadCN UI date picker would be the perfect component for this. However, I realized that is so much work. How about we instead just filter on type with this dropdown, and then the user can search for a specific date if they want to. So for now, let's just focus on filtering type, and we'll do searching right after this ticket. The filter button was getting a little complicated, so I moved it to a separate file, and in this file we have a count types function, which determines what types are in the pay statements for this user and the count for each type. And then in the filter button component, we have logic to make our very own combo box. So first we call the count types function, and then we map over all of these types and display their corresponding counts. And as the user clicks on these types in the drop-down menu, the update type selection function runs and determines which ones are selected and sets the checkbox states. And look at this, we have our very own combo box. So it looks pretty good, only has one entry. Let's go into the database and add some bonus types into the pay statements. And it identifies the different types and their counts, and you can select them in any way you want. Fantastic, works perfectly. All right, next we need to actually filter, so we can pass up these selected types to the pay statements table using a onSelectedTypes change function. That's a mouthful. And using a simple use effect, we can filter the pay statements using the selected types. All right, drum roll please. Here is the final result. It is filtering, it is sorting, it is paginating. You know, I'm quite happy with this. It looks pretty good, it filters pretty well. Win-win-win. As always, let's push our changes up and we are done this ticket. Alright, our next ticket is kind of impromptu, so I made it in the backlog. We are going to search through the pay statements, and oh my goodness, it is ticket 69. What is that? What do those Minecraft YouTubers say? So, what is up guys? I did some offline mining. I kind of finished the ticket, but listen, it wasn't that bad. Let's go over it. So the issue I ran into was that the pay statements have the date stored as a date object, of course, not a string, but you can't really compare a search term and a date object. So you first have to run a formatter over the date and then compare it. However, that's not very efficient, and if you're doing that 1,000 times for a lot of pay statements, it's gonna get very slow. So I thought maybe we could just do it once and get it over with at the very start. So I created a use effect to run on pay statements that basically goes through all of them, runs the format date function, and stores the result as a new property of the pay statement. Very cool. Okay, I know, sounds kind of sus, but listen, don't grill me please, it's the best I could do right now. And then as the 10x developer I am in true efficiency manner, I just modified the use effect we had for filtering and I added the search logic inside of the original filter. But as you can see, I also called remove accents on the strings we are comparing because when you get into the languages of love, French, the accents are going to make it a little tricky for the user to search for what they want. Alright, let's test it out. Let's do some searching. December, November, 15, 30, it looks fantastic. We're gonna do some filtering, searching, filtering. Oh my goodness. Have you ever seen a component so robust? Listen, I know it's just a table, but like, I'm kind of proud. Load testing. Let's ask ChatGPT to give us 1,000 pay statement objects to see how our table holds up against that magnitude of data. Searching, sorting, filtering, this is exciting. Let's paste that into a temporary data file, which we can then import and send out as pay statements through the payroll data utility function. Alright, did it work? Oh my goodness, 250 pages. Alright, pagination is blazing fast. Filtering is also fast, very impressive, love to see it. Doesn't even flinch when you sort, it's like it came pre-sorted. And searching also works, very nice. Pagination still works. Filtering, searching, sorting, everything works with 1,000 entries. So I'm fairly confident, I'm almost 99% confident that the user will have a good experience with this as long as they work less than 40 years at their company. Otherwise, let's push these changes up. Tears are forming in my eyes. Yet another ticket is complete. We are on to the final ticket of this episode. We are going to ensure that privacy mode is persisted upon page refresh. Now, next themes persist on refresh, and if we head over to application, local storage, we can see that the theme is stored on local storage. And privacy mode is basically the exact same as theme, so we can go ahead and do the same thing and store it to local storage. Alright, let's modify the privacy mode provider. The privacy mode state is going to grab whatever is in local storage, and if there's nothing in it, it just sets it to false. And of course, we use a use effect to update the local storage whenever the user changes the privacy mode setting. And very cool, privacy mode is now stored in local storage. And if we update privacy mode, we can see that the value gets updated to true and it persists on refresh now. Very cool. Let's push these changes up and we are done the final ticket of this episode. Honestly, at this point, I think I'm a React table connoisseur, a guru. Sorting, pagination, filtering, searching. Oh my goodness, we did so much this episode, but in such little time. Very cool. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to subscribe to keep up with this project and see where it goes. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.